Once a month, we are recovering a case that we have previously done, simply because it is necessary. As we grow as a podcast and as podcasters, it's clear that some of our old stuff needs work and deserves a second chance. So with that said, some of our episodes from way back when are getting a revamp. Some will be redone as is with no more moving parts, but some, like this case specifically, has had updates, including a trial resulting in a life sentence without parole. Today, I will be retelling you the murder of Ana Walshe. Ana Walshe was a mother of three who tragically lost her life by the hands of the father of their children and her husband, Brian Walshe. This case is completely bizarre and heartbreaking, but I wanted to start right off the bat with the heaviness that is Ana Walshe's body has still not been found today. So as we go through the details that we know and talk about her disappearance, all of the details that come out at the trial, the guilty verdict, please think about the fact that although we are one step closer with the conviction of Brian Walshe, Ana has still not been found. So please send thoughts, prayers, whatever it is you do and believe in, that hopefully soon all of the answers will be revealed so that this family can finally have some sort of knowledge and peace and stop being fed lies.
Agreed. It makes me think of, we've covered a couple cases now where that is the case, that, fortunately someone was held accountable and there are some answers to provide a semblance of closure. We say all the time like that. There's no real closure in these situations. But when you still don't have all the answers as a family, that has to be rough. And like Jennifer Dulos, we talked about her, and that it just is really making me think, because it's very, very similar situations.
Yeah.
And it's tragic because those kids are going to grow up and not have answers about their mom.
Right. And it's one of those things, as we get into this, there is the reasoning of why there might have not been a body found, but still it's the lies, it's the deception, it's just who he is as a person that is horrible. So, but we are going to start with the not horrible, and we are going to talk about Ana Walshe herself. So Ana was born in Belgrade, Serbia in 1983. She moved to the United States in 2005, earned a degree in French language and literature, and built a successful career through her hard work and determination. At the time of her disappearance, Ana was the general manager for a real estate firm in Washington, D.C. called Tishman Speyer. And she was splitting her time between Washington, D.C. during the week and her family home in Cohasset, Massachusetts on the weekends. She met her husband, Brian Walshe, while working at a hotel in Massachusetts. The two got married in 2015 and had 3 children. In the beginning, it all worked. It all made sense. She fell fast, as did he, and it was exactly what this couple wanted. Little bit about Brian. Brian was born in 1976, and it seems to me he was born into wealth. His mother and father did really well for themselves. They both came from money and then created their own successes as well. His mother in engineering and his father as a neurosurgeon. His parents divorced, and he lived primarily with his mother when he was a child, and he was the only child. His mother is said to have lived a reclusive lifestyle, while his father was out partying with acquaintances. With all of this, though, it's said that his childhood was hardly considered privileged, and we know this according to over a dozen character letters that were sent to a federal judge in 2021, which we will be getting into right now. Like I previously mentioned, Ana and Brian met at work, and the two married in 2015. During their marriage, they had 3 children, and in the beginning, it all worked. It all made sense. It was exactly what this couple wanted. But similar to many of the other cases we have covered, something changes, something goes wrong, something happens that becomes the reason of why we are sitting here talking about this today. And that takes us back to these letters. Now, these letters have directly nothing to do with Anna's disappearance because these letters were received in September of 2021. But as we will be getting into, she went missing 2 years after this. But we still need to talk about this situation because they do tie in indirectly because it shows his character, and his character has a lot to do with why he is guilty of the murder of his wife.
Yeah.
Now, Brian Walshe has a documented history of legal and personal issues. Before Anna disappeared, he was on house arrest related to fraud charges involving stolen property and the sale of fake artwork. Because of this situation, Brian remained in Massachusetts on house arrest while Anna had to, travel back and forth for work, and she served as the family's primary breadwinner. She had the job that she loved and enjoyed, and Brian was the stay-at-home dad. Not by his choice, but by court-ordered decisions based on his choices. So, to sum this portion of Brian's criminal history, the situation that happened was Ron Rivlin is the owner of Revolver Gallery in California, and it has the largest amount of artwork from Andy Warhol. Brian, he was an art dealer as one of his entrepreneurships, or at least at one point he did, and he sold this fake Andy Warhol piece to Ron Rivlin. It was this huge scheme in the first place because Brian, he actually liked the person that he got it from in the first place. What happened was he told the guy that he was buying it from that he would sell them for this guy, and then Brian would be making some profit. This guy would end up getting paid, but instead he stopped all form of communication, just ghosting the original owner, and blatantly just stole those pieces. And then not only did he steal those pieces, then he goes on to recreate them, and he sold those fake replicas to Ron Rivlin. But Ron's not an idiot, so he could obviously tell as soon as he got them in person, he could tell that Brian, was a piece of garbage, but Brian tried to just fall off the planet with that communication as well. So it's like he would do these things and then just think, if I stop talking to him, they'll leave me alone.
Yeah. As if this isn't the 20th century with or 21st century, whatever century we're in, with the internet and phone calls and you don't live across the country and I will never see you again. So just so I understand this, there was a guy who had real Andy Warhols.
Correct.
Brian took them from him and said, I will sell these for you. And of course, give myself part of the profit. While he had those real Andy Warhols, he made fakes.
Yes.
And then decided, I'm going to sell the fakes. What did he do with the real ones?
He was holding them because, like I said, he was this art dealer. So I'm assuming what he wanted to do was be able to resell. That's why he had made these replicas in the first place.
And then he just ditched both of them.
Both of them.
Ugh.
Both of them. Yeah. And actually, I have a quote from Ron Rivlin because this kind of shows the reason we're talking about this, but it shows his character and how, manipulative Brian Walshe was. So Ron said, quote, I've bought over 1,000 Warhols, and this is the one and only accusation that got by me. He was that good. Clever, playbook, and Oscar-worthy performance. He's very tactful in how he plays the legal system. And the last quote is, what happened to me is telling of Walsh's masterful ability to coerce and deceive people, end quote. Stand-up guy.
Path. Yeah.
Well, as much as I wish I didn't have to talk about him at all, it's important to know exactly who we're dealing with when it comes to him and, Anna herself, because she fell in love with Brian fast. Their relationship went quickly, and it's pretty clear looking back now that his marriage was all probably a master plan and scheme for him, deceiving and manipulating the whole way through. So going back to 2021, Brian takes a plea deal and pleads guilty to his involvement in this art scheme, and he is put on house arrest. And he's also made to pay a hefty fine. So, all while Ana just continues to be the hardworking badass of a mom she is, going back and forth to work while he stays home, and she's pretty much paying for his mistakes.
Lies. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so sad because in all sources, she loved her job. She loved what she did. And one of the things is she wanted to move closer to work so that she could have her kids and everyone could be together.
Right.
But it just wasn't working out that way. And I mean, I'm sure I shouldn't. No, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Well, and then he gets put on house arrest. So it's like she doesn't, I mean, if she wants to stay with him, it's not like she really has a choice. Like,
Right.
He can't leave. And that sucks. Again, she's paying for his mistakes in more than one way. Not only now is she paying the money for his mistakes, but also she's having to sacrifice a lot as just, a working mom.
Right. Bullshit. On December 31st, 2022, Ana and Brian spent New Year's Eve at home with their children. A former boss and family friend visited that evening, leaving around 1:30 in the morning. This individual is the last known person, aside from Brian, to see Ana alive. On January 4th, Brian and an employee at Ana's company, Tishman Speyer, talk on the phone. There are conflicting reports of who called who. I've seen so many that say Brian called them. I have others who say they called Brian. So maybe he called someone and maybe someone called him also. But it all comes down to a conversation of Ana was not at work on the 4th. And it's my belief that, her coworkers probably already knew that Brian was horrible. She had probably opened up about certain things over this time because immediately the employer calls and reports Ana missing and calls for a
welfare check.
Thank you. When Brian talks with police, he tells them that Ana left the home early on January 1st, claiming she had a work emergency in Washington, D.C. He said that she left their home between 6 and 7 in the morning to go catch a flight. However, investigators find no evidence that this happened, which we will be getting into every single day, every single detail of all of that. But her work as well. Work's like, no, that's not true. There was not a work situation, emergency situation that happened either. So it's just already, what are you even talking about? So
right.
Ana was expected to be back at work on January 4th. So this ended up worrying her coworkers, and that's when she ended up calling the police to conduct a welfare check at the Walshe home that same day that the company reported her missing. Now, because I have already told you that there's been an update and that Brian was found guilty of the murder of Ana, I am just going to take you through what we know, because of course it starts with Brian trying to act like he had nothing to do with this.
Right.
While being a little manipulating asshole. So we will bypass that nonsense, and I'm just going to tell you what came out in the trial and what really happened according to all of that. Ana was reported missing on January 4th, and thankfully it did not take that long because Brian Walshe was arrested on January 8th. And here's why, straight from the courts. Going back a little bit, on December 25th, Ana texted her mother, who lived in Serbia, to ask her to come to her. Her text said, quote, "Please, Mama, come tomorrow," end quote. And her mom pretty much says she can't come on such short notice, but she would try to get there as soon as she could. They would plan something very soon. on December 31st. Anna's home with Brian and the kids, and that friend comes over for the evening, leaving somewhere early morning on January 1st. Investigators uncover disturbing internet searches that were made on the family's iPad that day before Anna was reported missing, and most specific to the early morning hours of January 1st. And I am going to read them to you. There's a lot. Are you ready?
No.
Heather, there's so many. You might not be ready, but I know other listeners right now are like, okay, read them, please. I need them. Unfortunately, it's disgusting, but it's like after I read each one of them, you're guilty, like, you know, that little ding in your head that says, okay, guilty. Okay, that's exactly what happens right here. 4:55 a.m. The first search is how long before a body starts to smell? Okay, maybe on its own, that might just be you got bad body odor. 4:58 a.m., how to stop a body from decomposing. 5:20 a.m., how to embalm a body. 5:47 a.m., 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. 6:25 a.m., how long for someone to be missing to inherit. 6:34 a.m., can you throw away body parts? 9:29 a.m., what does formaldehyde do? 9:34 a.m., how long does DNA last? 9:59 a.m., can identification be made on partial remains? 11:34 a.m., dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body. 11:44 a.m., how to clean blood from wooden floors. 11:56 a.m., luminol to detect blood. 1:08 p.m., what happens when you put body parts in ammonia? 1:21 p.m., is it better to throw crime scene clothes away or wash them? Yeah.
I mean, fucking. First of all, the fact that you can search the internet for this is so wow. Like, wow. Like, part of me understands that, like, you know, this information is important for research for people who are solving crimes. Like, oh, if a criminal did this, you know, how would that impact this, that, and the other? Like, but that doesn't need to be, like, that should be kept safe knowledge. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, I don't know. I just hate that you can do that you can just Google this shit. The other part of me is glad that this fucking idiot Googled it.
Right.
Like, idiot. Like, I mean, how dumb. But also,
we're thankful that you're dumb. Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, right now I'm taking you through, like, the events that we know. When I get into, because I'm going to take you through the court dates as well each day, like what was going over, like a trial recap. And it's in one of the things, I'll talk more about it, but it's like he literally tries to blame, because this was found on the child's iPad, okay?
Right.
So it's like he tries to pass blame, not to his children, but he tries to pass blame, and it's just, he's so ridiculous, Heather. Okay.
Yeah.
The next day, January 2nd, Ana Walshe's phone is turned off in the early morning hours, so it's now no longer, you know, even ringing or anything. And more Google searches go through on the iPads. 12:45 p.m., hacksaw best tool to dismember. 1:10 p.m., can you be charged with murder without a body? 1:14 p.m., can you identify a body with broken teeth? Monday, January 2nd. According to the prosecutors, Brian Walshe allegedly drives to a Home Depot in Rockland. While he's there, he purchases about $450 worth of cleaning supplies. Heather, we're talking mops, tape, a tarp, a full-on Tyvek suit with boot covers, buckets, baking soda, and notably, based on everything I just told you, a hatchet.
Surveillance. I feel like if you go to a Home Depot, or a Lowe's or a Walmart or wherever the
Arrest.
hell you have a certain combination, like, yeah, anyone who goes to Home Depot, just arrest them. Like, and you have a certain combination of materials that you buy. Like, it's one thing, oh, I need a hatchet. Just, I'm gonna go because I need to buy a hatchet because I need to cut down a tree. I don't know, whatever you fucking use hatchets for.
Right.
You go and you go, look, like, I need some cleaning supplies.
Yeah.
I need a tarp. My roof is leaking. Whatever the case may be. Those in and of themselves, maybe even two of those.
Right.
Okay, like cleaning and a tarp because my roof fell in and I need a tarp and then I need to clean up all the debris. Okay, whatever. But the combination of all those with a fucking hatchet, like, immediately you should put on a freaking watch list.
Seriously. Yeah. Because, I mean, you're right. Singularly, those things don't stand out. But when, I mean, you're not an idiot. If you're standing at that checkout line, and you know what? Like, most of the stores, people aren't even there anymore. You just check out and you get to
yeah, it sounds
but you're absolutely right. Like, that should have already, you should be put on a list. Like, they should have someone who just works in each city that is on the follow list. Like, hey, so-and-so just picked up this, and that from this store. We're going to need you to start surveillance.
Just call it like a, what do they call those? Hardware store flag. And as soon as, and it's all digital now. So it's not like, so like as soon as those items are all rung up in the same purchase.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. Yeah. Like, this needs to be a federal thing. Once those are run through a purchase, it's all digital. It flags the local PD, and all the local PD has to drive by the house, knock on the door, and just say, "Hey, what's up, man? Like, what's up?" I don't know. Like, it shouldn't be that freaking.
Why are you wearing a suit and sweaty and it has blood all over it? What's going on, sir?
You know what I mean? Like, it's hindsight is 2020. That, like, you go back and you look at what he bought, and you see this in a lot of cases where it's like, like, this happened, and then they found that he went to Walmart, he went to Home Depot, he went to Lowe's, whatever, and he bought this, that, and the other. You're like, well, there it is. But just so many things like that.
Well, here, let me add to it.
Oh, no, don't.
Yeah, I'm going to add to it, because not only do you see the list of what he's buying, but the surveillance video shows that he was wearing a black surgical mask and blue gloves, and he paid for everything with cash. So it's like every single detail about this shopping spree was screaming, I just did something horrific.
Horrible.
So now we move on to Tuesday, January 3rd. And this is when more internet searches continue. And they're not vague searches. They're very specific. So at 1:02 p.m., he searches, what happens to hair on a dead body? 1:14 p.m., what is the rate of decomposition of a body found in a plastic bag compared to on a surface in the woods? And then at 1:20 p.m., can baking soda make a body smell good? Later that same day, surveillance footage captures a man matching Brian's appearance walking up to a dumpster at an apartment complex in Abington. And this man is carrying a heavy garbage bag. You can actually see the weight of this bag in this video based on how he is trying to get it into the dumpster. From there, it's said that he travels to multiple other locations and just disposes of different items into different dumpsters all over Abington and Brockton. The next day, on January 4th, this is the day, that I've already mentioned that they have the phone calls. Ana Walshe's employer talks with Brian and vice versa. That same day, after she is reported missing, Brian goes on another shopping spree. He goes to Home Goods and TJ Maxx. And that's where he buys towels, bath mats, and men's clothing. And then he goes to Lowe's and buys squeegees and trash cans. Police in Cohasset on this day is when the welfare check took place. So they go to the home. And during that visit, officers note some concerning details. They say that the seats in Brian's vehicle were down, and there was a plastic liner that was laid out in the car. And they see on the mats, there's like some dirt on the mats, but that the carpet underneath the mats had been freshly vacuumed. You can see the like vacuum streaks. Not concerning at all, right? Seriously question everything. Like, I'm so thankful that the employee made the call from them to do this welfare check, right? Like, good on them. This is what, in this episode, this is the things that you guys need to be hearing and, taking note from this case. Because make those phone calls, pay attention to those details, question everything. Thursday, January 5th, his phone shows Brian, traveling to different dumpsters. He went to his mother's apartment complex on this day in Swampscott around 9:30 in the morning. And the law enforcement officially announce to the public that Ana is missing, and law enforcement conducts searches in their home in Cohasset and the surrounding areas by the home, but they also do a check at her townhouse in Washington, D.C. as well to make sure, did she go there, figure out if she's over there. And at this point, this is still early on. They announced that, Brian Walshe has been cooperating for the investigation. And that all things right now they are just trying to find missing Ana. But this doesn't last long at all, I promise you. On Friday, January 6th, they search near the Cohasset home, and they bring K9 teams, and they bring like air, drone, divers, everything is going on this search. And they search like different streams in the area, different pools, and unfortunately, nothing was found. Not only do they do those searches, they then announce that they are going to pause the searches just after 2 days of searching. They say they're going to pause the searches until new information comes out. Thank God they paused the ground search, because that sent them straight back to the source. On Sunday, January 8th, they return to Brian Walshe's home. This is when they find, down in the basement, blood and 2 knives inside the house. One of the knives is described as bloody and damaged, and they also recover large, heavy-duty tarps and plastic liners that clearly match the ones that were just bought at Home Depot just days earlier. And on that day, they arrest Brian Walshe. Not for the murder yet, but for providing misleading information to law enforcement. Monday, January 9th, Brian is arraigned in Quincy District Court. That's when they talk about the fact that the blood and the damaged knife were found in the basement of the home. And they also outline that things that he said were not adding up. He told investigators, on the 1st that he went to visit his mother in Swampscott, but he got lost. And he also claimed he went shopping at Whole Foods and CVS. And, the police followed up on these things, and they found no receipts from CVS or Whole Foods or surveillance footage showing that he was there. But of course, they found the surveillance and receipts of his other shopping sprees. And when asked about January 2nd, Brian told the police that he only left the house to take one of his sons to go get ice cream. And we know that's a lie. That didn't happen. And instead of taking his son to get ice cream, he goes to Home Depot and buys hundreds of dollars worth of cleaning supplies. So all of that, yeah.
It just reminds you too that this whole time there are kids.
Yes. Yes. With him in the home while this is happening. So all of these things are talked about in this arraignment, and the bail is set at $500,000. That same day, everything changes even more, because when the investigators are searching trash north of Boston, they end up finding 10 trash bags at a transfer station in Peabody. Inside, they find towels, rags, slippers, tape, a Tyvek suit, gloves, cleaning supplies, carpets, rugs, hunter boots, a hacksaw, a hatchet, cutting shears, and a COVID-19 vaccine card with the name on top being Ana Walshe. Forensic testing later confirmed that human blood was on these items, which was very, very obvious. There's so many things throughout cases where I'm like, you don't need to test it. Just guilty. Yeah. Guilty, guilty, guilty. And I know that's not true, you guys, but I'll save my thoughts for later. On Tuesday, January 17th, they formally charge Brian Walshe with murder and dismembering of a body. The next day, he's arraigned and he pleads not guilty. And he is ordered to be held without bail. While he is being held without bail for his involvement in the murder of his wife, we're going to fast forward just a little bit. So he was in jail for a little while. You know, we see so often that we got to wait and wait and wait and wait. But fast forwarding to February 20th, 2024, a federal judge sentences Brian to 37 months in prison for the art fraud conviction and orders him to pay $475,000 in restitution. So they have him locked up and are just like, well, let's get the ball rolling on other things.
Yeah.
So that, you know, which I love when it comes to this prick.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good way to make sure that, like, they need more time on the other evidence. Look, he's not going anywhere. He doesn't have the ability to go destroy any evidence. He doesn't have ability to go try to play any more freaking games. No, we'll throw the book at you for your prior offenses and keep you where we know you are because we're building a case against you, you asshole.
Yep, absolutely. Now, over a year goes by and we're still waiting on the trial. And in September of 2025, the initial trial ends up being delayed because Brian was reportedly stabbed by another inmate while he was in jail. The judge
If he was breathing, wheel him into the courtroom. I don't give a shit about you, dude.
Well, and that's exactly what happens because they end up ordering a mental health eval to make sure that he's competent to stand trial. And he sure was. So it didn't take long to get him in that courthouse. November 17th, during the final pre-trial conference, questions in the pre-trial start about Brian's mother and her alleged involvement in hiring a private investigator to look into Anna's supposed infidelity. So that just brings in a whole different aspect of everything going on, which on all accounts was true. Anna had started talking with a man named William, and that guy, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but, you know, he knew Anna wanted out and that she planned to divorce Brian as well. Then the next day on the 18th, just before jury selection begins, Brian Walshe pleads guilty to misleading police and improperly removing or concealing a body, which obviously means he knows the info, but he wants to twist and turn it to seem different than what it was. The next couple days, jury selection begins and they are selected. So now I know I just took you through so much, but I am going to take you through each court date. There's 11 days, and I'm just going to tell you just kind of a trial recap of each of those days as we head to our guilty verdict that you all know is happening. December 1st, opening statements begin. And we could have done a whole trial recap on this. We should have, because after doing Donna Adelson, we should be doing this we should have done this for this one, but we did not. So that's why I was like, I need to talk more about this, but I will try to keep it short and to the point. Day one was opening statements. The prosecution say exactly what is going on here. Ana Walshe is dead, and Brian Walshe murdered her. They give the dirty details about Brian's internet searches that I read to you guys earlier, about dismemberment and cleaning blood, surveillance footage of him buying cleaning supplies and tools, and the evidence recovered from the dumpsters. The defense admits Brian lied to police and made disturbing searches, but claims Ana died naturally and that Brian panicked. Okay, Heather's face says it all, you guys. Yeah, freaking right. But to me, they could have just called it right after this day. It didn't even need to go any further. Like everything that they showed on day 1, guilty. Day 2, double down, digital evidence. The jurors hear Brian's police interviews and see extensive internet searches tied to his devices on the 1st and 2nd, including how to dispose of the body, clean blood, remove DNA. And Brian claims he didn't make the searches. And he says that they came from a synced child's pad and that it was something else because the iPad was synced, that someone else was making those searches. Not him, not his children, but because it was synced, it was happening.
So who, though? But that's the thing, is you can see what devices are synced to your iPad. It's very easy to see.
Like, guilty on this day, too. All complete bullshit right here. All of it is bullshit. Day 3, travel and timeline. So airline and customs records show that Ana never traveled after December 30th. That was very clear. She was a no-show for the flight that she did have scheduled to go back to work in Washington, D.C. She never showed up to that flight. And they did search her townhouse in Washington, D.C. too, and it showed no sign of her being there. And it also showed no sign that she was planning to disappear.
Right.
And then, of course, the thing that we see way too often in these cases is they talk about the life insurance policy, naming Brian as the beneficiary of $2.2 million.
Which, of course, remember the search he made where he goes, how long until I claim that it is?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
guilty.
ridiculous.
It's like at the end of each day, I just say, why did we need to continue?
Where's the reasonable doubt? 0, none.
Show me some.
Doesn't exist.
No. Day 4, Ana's life and the last days. So witnesses describe Ana's stress, her marital status and issues, and the future plans that she had. And her romantic relationship with the guy she was talking to, William Fastow, is confirmed, along with testimony showing that this is another reason that she planned to continue her life, not vanish.
Right.
Right. It was clear that she wanted something different and that was the plan she was making. It was never anything other than that. They also show the surveillance footage of Brian dumping the heavy trash bag on January 3rd. Guilty. Day 5. Jurors hear about evidence pulled from the dumpsters, including Ana's shoes, the hunter boots that were in there, and the different items that were taken out. Forensic testimony confirms the blood was deeply embedded in carpet pieces, indicating that this was a violent event, not a accident that just happened. She didn't just naturally die in him panic. Day 6. Crime scene experts testify that blood was found throughout the Walshe home, especially in the basement. Again, not panic, definitely violent. Tools found in the trash, a hatchet, hacksaw, hammer, and shears, all tested positive for blood. And they show the footage of him going to the stores to buy the cleaning supplies, the tarps, chemicals, all of that. Day 7. This is one of the most critical days because this is the day that all of the DNA says, Ana, Ana, Ana. And not only did it say her, Brian's DNA wasn't a part of it. Like, his was excluded because he was always in his gloves and stuff like that. So it wasn't even like I don't know. It's just, all of it is frustrating. Day 8. This day is pretty boring. This is just pretty much her former boss who was over the night, the last one who saw her, Jen Mutlu. He testified that he was the last person to see her alive. And he just said it was pretty much a normal and festive night for a New Year's Eve. There was no injuries, no concerns, nothing bad that happened while he was there. Day 9. Brian decides that he is not going to testify. There was the talk that he might get up there and take the stand, but he decides to not do that. The defense rests without presenting its own witnesses. And then day 10 is the closing arguments. Prosecutors walk jurors through January 1st, step by step. Like I said, after that day, you didn't need to do anything else. We didn't need to even go through the rest of it. It was very obvious, very guilty. The searches, purchases, blood evidence, the disposal of Anna's belongings, and the defense, again, their argument that the defense argues the state proved disturbing behavior, but not murder. Okay.
I mean, the disturbing behavior is also murder. The murder. I don't like. Okay.
Yeah, you're correct that there's not a surveillance video in their home showing the act, but
right.
You're not dumb. Okay. So after that, jury begins deliberations. Day 11, which is the final day, December 15th. On that final day, the jury returns a verdict of first-degree murder, and he's guilty. He is convicted. He will serve the rest of his life behind bars where he belongs. And, it's such a tragic case for so many reasons. First and foremost, Anna should be here, living her life and being the incredible badass that it's clear she was. But on top of that, the heartbreaking part, and I want to read I'm going to read a statement from Anna's sister, which she was the only person who did a victim impact statement that was read out loud. They had some other ones that were in writing, but she read this out loud on the stand. Quote, "Losing my sister Anna so unexpectedly has altered our world in ways we never imagined." And she was saying this on behalf of her and her mother. "The most painful part of this loss is knowing her children must now grow up without their mother's hand to hold. They now face a lifetime of milestones, big and small, where her absence will be deeply and painfully felt." Their children didn't only lose their mother. They lost their father too. And it's the most selfish and disgusting thing. I do know that I mentioned the first time that I covered Anna's case that her friend helped keep her 3 kids together when Brian was first arrested. But as of an article in November 2025, I no longer know where things stand with them, which hopefully is a good thing, to keep them out of the public's eye and off the radar. But I just don't know if they're with family or with the state, whether or not they're together. But I can only pray that that's the case, that they're together and they're being helped with so many resources to heal in whatever way imaginably possible after this. Our hearts go out to Anna's family and especially her children. But that is the case of Ana Walshe and the conviction of that piece of garbage who will now be in prison for the rest of his life where he belongs. You've heard the case.
Now comes our unscripted afterthoughts. 100%. And I kind of hope he gets stabbed again by someone in prison.
Afterthought,
we go to say? No, it's just, I hope. I'm thinking about when you first covered this case before there was the trial. He had been arrested and he was, in custody awaiting trial. But I was just, they had all that. We knew about a lot of this evidence already, the internet searches. I remember all of the surveillance. I remember. And what did this guy think? What did he really think he was going to get away with? They presented this stuff to him. They know the whole idea that, she died of natural causes and I panicked. No, who panics and decides I'm going to panic and then decide that instead of, panic is a normal reaction to someone dying. But if someone dies in a quote unquote natural way and your panic reaction is instead of calling the ambulance or the cops is to I'm gonna get rid of the body? How is that? How?
No.
So like it doesn't make sense to and as a sane person, and it's so funny because I mean it's not funny, but I am a big proponent of reasonable doubt. We know that. We've covered cases before where, even if I think the person did it, if the prosecution did not do their job of actually proving beyond a reasonable doubt, then, what is the point of a fair trial? And
Right.
so, when there is reasonable doubt to be had, I'm like, you know what? Reasonable doubt. Like there is zero in this case.
None.
This guy,
None
no
whatsoever.
sane person would react this way. Like
No.
nobody. And I really appreciate those who stepped up and kind of like the art dealer who was like, no, he's a manipulative asshole, lying piece of shit. Because it really does go to describe someone's character and the fact that he had, and I bet the defense fought like hell to not have any of his prior shit exposed. But when they go to character, you know what? It is relevant. It is relevant to the case. And I think it's just part of you thinks like, you obviously wish it never happened. But part of me is like, I'm glad that you were such an idiot when it did.
Right.
Because
it made it easier to get him, like it's never like a happy, but we're happy you're an idiot. And there's more that I could have talked about in the episode now that it's afterthoughts. I feel like you will probably remember this when we first covered it, but there were so many issues with his dad, and he stole money from his dad, and his dad took him out of his will because he was a piece of garbage. It's like there were so many things that showed that he just was not a good person. Right. He was not a good person. And so whatever happened on that night, unfortunately, he's the only one who really knows what ended up coming out, whether it was, there was another thing that I read that, and I maybe I just skipped over it because I feel like I had it on there. I was reading so quickly on the things, but one of the searches that he does too is what state is it best to get a divorce in, stuff like that. And I think, he knew it was coming. He knew it was only a matter of time. And he ended up calling William Festow at one point too to ask about her. So whether that means he knew that she was having an affair, or if this was just a coworker or a friend and he was just calling all the people, whatever, which I don't think. I think it was definitely not, it was malicious in my opinion. But it's like he knew, and it's just ridiculous. And obviously that was the only way he could have gone in court, was to try to plead that sort of I panicked.
Be a man,
thing.
I don't know. Stop lying. You've been lying your whole life. I guess it's stupid to think he would do anything different than what he's been doing his entire life, which is lying. But like you look, I mean, I'm glad he looks like an idiot, but he looks like an idiot. Well, I searched all of this stuff and I did all this really shitty stuff, but it wasn't me. Like, right. You're like a 2-year-old with literal paint on their hands going, I didn't paint the wall. Like, no. Like, it's just idiotic. It's idiotic. And I think that in my opinion, he knew that Anna wasn't happy. He knew that she was going to leave him. And he knew I was cut out of my dad's will. If Anna leaves me, I have
who's going to pay for my restitution for my art?
Exactly. Exactly. How am I going to live my life? Because I've been cut off from my parents. And now, my wife is going to leave me as well, as deserved, because he's a piece of shit. And so, he panicked. And what's so hard is that I think about the text message that she sent her mother.
I know.
And it's hard.
Even just reading that small text message just breaks my heart.
And it's rough. And we've talked about this before, the statistic of domestic violence, and that a lot of times the incident that results in these really bad cases is a woman saying, I'm gonna leave you, or I'm leaving, and that results in a domestic violence. Like, a lot of times we know that is a big indicator, a big cause.
Yeah,
like,
statistically, that's when something goes wrong. Yeah,
exactly. So, the fact that she had texted her mother that she needed her makes me feel like there was stuff going on already. There was turmoil. And then when she says, that's it, it's definitely a new year. You're done. I'm not going into the new year with you, and we're done. And it's just so hard because you're standing up for what you need, what your kids need, and what is going to be best as a provider. And that is what you're doing, the right thing, standing up for what you need to do for you and your kids. And then that's what the consequence is.
It's like, I want to believe that she had that conversation. She stuck her ground. She wiped her hands clean of him, and then he was caught red-handed. Like, that's
100%.
The only belief I want to have is she was like, she made it very clear. So,
yep.
Yeah, I hope we retold this case, better than the first time around. I don't think the first time was bad. I just think, there was the update, and it was definitely different with how we wanted to approach it, but needed to just, and like you mentioned, we had the majority of those details in it. The trial didn't have too much that we didn't already know. We knew so much about all of that in the first place, but just going through it and seeing, like, the defense was dumb, thankfully, because how could you not be? There's really nothing you can do when it's the clear evidence.
But he hired this, and I don't know, maybe he maybe he didn't have access to money, so he's just using like a public defender, or I don't even know what the exact situation was. But like, if you're a lawyer, you don't even have to be a good one. But like, what's the whole thing? Okay, so she died of like, yeah, let me believe this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, it's just so hard to think, like, but I mean, the thing
it also makes no sense. Correct. But it also makes no sense either when it comes to like panic, because he wasn't the panic type. I want to make that very clear. When you know anything about him, he just was not the panic type. The other thing is,
psychopaths don't panic.
Exactly. And then
don't
also,
have emotion.
if she just died suddenly and randomly, you would inherit that money anyways.
Exactly.
So you don't need to do that. You would have just been like, oh my God, this is the best day of my life.
Right.
I get to make a phone call that says, hey, my wife just died, and then you don't do anything about it and you get all that money. So nonsense.
And the other thing that with the panic thing that is complete nonsense is like, maybe not that, I think, but there's like the smallest, like 0.00001% maybe that you panic that first night and you go, oh shit, and then it still doesn't make any sense to me. But you're saying you panicked over several days.
Yeah.
Where this was clearly a premeditated cleanup. Like, you're sitting there, you're like, okay, I have that. I'm going to continue to panic across and do these searches over several days, go to these stores over several days. And it's like, yeah, that sounds like an in the moment panic to me. Sure. Like, no. Again, wish it never happened, obviously.
Right.
But happy that he's an idiot. Yeah. Because then it was cut and dry. It's easy to see, like, we don't need to go through the mess of a retrial because this sticky situation or that sticky situation or a reasonable doubt here or a hung jury no, you were an idiot. Made it quick and easy. Send that man where he friggin' belongs. Send that piece of shit where he belongs. Well, good job retelling.
Thank you. I'm happy we did a retell.
Anna Walshe was like very early on in our, were we even still wine time? I feel like we might have still won. I remembered like hearing this case and being like, oh my gosh, and I am so glad that the trial has finally happened, and that piece of justice has been served. But like you mentioned at the beginning, there is still missing information here,
Right.
and that part is rough to think about, that her family, her kids, they don't have all the answers, and they have a guy who won't give it to them.
No.
They'll never know, and which is rough. But hopefully, him being where he belongs offers that piece of closure, even though it's, nowhere near what should be happening. Right. She should still be here is what should be happening.
That's for sure. Yeah. That is our afterthoughts on that case. And now we have some other thoughts. All right, now we're going to switch gears and just hang out for a bit.
If you're still here with us, thank you. This is the mom talk you didn't know you needed.
Heather, okay, this is going to be the first time that I'm saying this out loud into the world. Actually, part of me is like, should I not even say it yet?
Oh my gosh, what are you
I'm going to London. No, I'm going to London. I did a FemCon UK. I know. You guys, I just found out. So I was surprised this past week, and I was gifted by the love of my life tickets to go to London.
Just kidding.
Angel. Yeah, that's so funny. Love so. Because at first I was like, you. Well, it's so funny because I was like thinking you meant like you, but then I was like, are you talking about souls? No, I know, but it's like how many loves of my life. I love you guys so.
A lot of lives of your life.
I'm very blessed when it comes to great people in my life. But yeah, I will be going to CrimeCon. So we, as most of you guys know, if this is your first time being here, this is something new to you, but we produce the season 2 of Missing in Hushtown, or we are currently still producing season 2 of Missing in Hushtown on Bethany Markowski, the disappearance of Bethany Markowski back in 2001. And, last year, Jules went to CrimeCon UK, or not UK, London, with Missing in Hushtown and with True Crime and Headlines for the Wix Girls. And so she already knew she was going. She already knew that she was going to be going back. And she has asked me a lot if I will go with her. And my response every time is, no, I don't think I can do that. No, I don't think I could do that. Especially, we have so many things that we are doing this year. We kind of talked about a little bit of it before, but we are just event after event, conference after conference, advocacy after advocacy. So many amazing, amazing things, opportunities, experiences going to be happening this year, and I'm incredibly like beside myself in a way, because I'm like, wait, why me? Like, how is this my life, and how are we doing this? And it's so exciting to think about. But we have Beyond the Crime Convention, we have CrimeCon, we have Advocacy Con, we have Crime Story Fest, and now we have CrimeCon freaking London, baby. London, baby.
I'm excited for you. I'm so excited. A little bit jealous.
Yeah,
that I should be. My life is not such that. But I am so grateful for the people who support us on this journey and who support your drive to make. And it's so funny because you're like, I can't, like, that's not possible. But like your drive, they see it, and this is a reflection of this is what Rachel deserves to do. And that is why. And we're putting that out into the universe continuously for 2026. So I know we have listeners over over there in the UK. We've done MCM. So you should hit up the
Switchblade
Sisters.
You know, it's so funny. They just posted like different things on social media of like top 27, top 27.
Yeah. Awesome.
And so
amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And you should totally hit them up and let them know, because you guys, this is what I think is the funnest thing at these events is, I mean, the highlight of the last Crime Con was when we literally were in the hotel bar and these ladies were behind us and they go, "Hey, I know that voice." Like, that was like beyond amazing. We love to meet people out in the wild who listen to the podcast. And we also love to spend time with our other podcasting besties. Yeah. And we love the work that we're doing. And I am so excited. Rachel, you have poured so much energy and talent into Missing in Hushtown Season 2. And I'm excited for you to go and represent Momcast Productions and what we're doing on that season. And I'm excited that you get to go have some adventures with Jules, and it's going to be awesome.
And Stephanie, it's going to be the three of us together. Yeah. The three of us are going to be together almost the whole time. Yeah. So crazy. But I mean, with all that said, as much as I'm excited about that, you guys, wherever you're listening from, there's going to be something nearish to you. 100%. So come see us.
We're everywhere.
Be at so many. And you trust me, you want to go wherever Heather's at. I was just talking about her the other day and just like explaining how awesome she is. But like,
wait,
you want to about this? The world. And so it's just like when you meet me, so many people see my face on social media. And I mean, I'm definitely, I always say it depends on which Rachel woke up that morning, but I can be outgoing. I can be fun. I can be cool sometimes. But Heather's all those things all the time. And it's so amazing. And for me, it's like, I'm kind of shy. And then when I get there, right? Like Heather's just like there all the time. Ever. I love it so much.
You're a favorite peanut butter to my jelly. Like
I am my loop.
Oh,
get it right.
Oh my God.
I haven't
thought about that in so long. Fruit of my loop. And so I wouldn't be there so excited to do all this if I didn't have my fruit or loop, whichever one you are.
Yeah. No, I'm the fruity though.
Wait, that makes me loopy? That doesn't.
Oh, so funny. Yeah, I mean, and we laugh about this, and there's so many amazing and incredible things that happen at these conferences and these different events that we're going to be going to. But, it all comes down to why we're here. We're telling these stories. And yes, this was all started, two best friends behind the mic talking about these stories. But there's so much that we have done and that we have backed and been in support of over this journey, and knowing that we get to go to these events and spread that awareness and share those messages and be able to connect with different people or connect others with other people is just such an incredible opportunity, and I cannot wait for it. So love it. Was there anything like life-wise that you needed to update people about, since I was just like, here, this is the Rachel show because I'm going to London?
No, that's part of that's the biggest thing in my life. Is that but for real, because Jules told me ahead of time, you guys, and the first thing she said is, "Can you keep a secret?" And I said, "I'm a vault. What are you talking about?" And she goes, "But from Rachel." And I said, "I literally should screenshot it and send it to you because I wrote What are you talking? Like, no." And then she immediately wrote back, "But it's a good one." And I said, "Okay, in that case, of course I can keep it.
It's a good one."
And so I was just so excited, and it was funny because I knew for a while before you knew, and every time you would bring up, like, Jules has been asking me to go here, and I don't know, and we have to still book this, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know, that's crazy that you...
Is that why you avoided me for a whole month? Is that why it was that long?
But I was like, whenever you would bring it up, I would just like, so.
Love it. I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Big things are happening. So that is that for today, you guys. Hopefully you liked the redo. We would love to hear whether you liked that. We do plan on doing this here and there. It's funny, at one point in my notes, I said we need to do one redo a month because we have so much that we need to retell, or ones with updates too. So
100%. I mean, we're what, 200 plus episodes in, and I know there are definitely ones that I know are on my list to redo because there has been updates. One that I'm antsy to do, but we have to wait. There's been updates, but there's going to be more because Corey Richins is finally making it to court yet again. So that is going to definitely be on the horizon. And there are plenty that I would definitely, there are updates for and or cases that we covered. The other thing that I'm excited to do this for is there's cases that we covered, unsolved cases from, a few years back, and being able to kind of revamp those, see if there's been any updates, and just get the name out there again, I feel is very important. So the idea that we're going to kind of get these rolling again is important to me, and I think it's a fabulous, one of your most fabulous ideas you've ever had, Rachel.
So many of those. They just don't always happen. So I'm glad this one happened.
I'd love to look through your notebook and just be like, oh, fabulous idea from
notebook
3 weeks ago.
I'm like 38. You want to take your pick of which one you want to open? When I was redoing this studio, you should have seen, when I was trying to, get everything together, I was like, holy cow, what is wrong with me? Because, I am just absurd, honestly, when it comes to I want to say, disorganization. There's so many people who would, look at me and be like,
you're Rachel.
Correct.
That's what they have.
It's so true. It's so many people.
It's organized chaos, in your brain.
I know where it's at. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It works for anyone.
Anyone walking in would be like,
yeah, what the hell is this nonsense going on in here? But I'm going to learn how to use a Google Calendar, so it's fine.
Yeah, you are.
I actually updated the Google Calendar with London, baby. It's in there. I'm doing big things this year. Big things, using Google Calendar. The other day I was at the dentist with my daughter, and the girl was like, oh, they always do the next 6 months. Do you want to schedule your appointment? I'm like, yeah. And she was like, oh, do you want me to write that on a card? And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, no. I'm using a Google Calendar now. She was like, okay. She definitely didn't find it as great as I did. Yeah, she was like, welcome to the freaking time of life, bro. You're behind. So
seriously, I've been doing a Google calendar to organize my life for over 10 years. Yeah. And it's
scary.
I'm telling you, I don't know how I lived without it. It's been, yeah.
That's actually, so I have not done that. Very clear that as we've had this conversation, but this is the first time I don't have every year I get one of the huge calendars, and this is the first time that I don't have one. And I'll look down at my desk and be like, but where's my big calendar that has the big one, and I gotta write it down on there, and I gotta see it.
If it makes you feel any better, I have the Google Calendar, but then I also do have a calendar up on my fridge, and that's also helps. It's good to have the information.
I'm probably going to need to get it because I thought, well, I'm probably not going to need it because I also have a calendar in my kitchen that's just the birthday calendar. And that calendar is literally just birthdays. Yep. It's just birthdays, which actually, I still thought it was the 13th. So Tempe's card is just sitting on my desk. But it's so funny because I'm like, I used to do this thing. Oh, now we're just talking, guys. I used to do this thing called Mail It Mondays, and I would try to send out a card just to surprise someone. I feel like getting a card is such a beautiful thing, something handwritten, and also just such a good feel thing because it doesn't happen that much. And I wish it happened more. I don't want to support the postal.
Yeah. I don't want to support the postal service. You were going to say.
I was just like, but
I will say them. Like correspondence like that, like handwritten cards and letters and, you know, just like a, hey, thinking about you kind of thing is a lost art. It really is. And I, you know, I love it. And I love that you do that. Maybe you can try to FedEx it if you don't want to.
No, it's just going to get there late. Just sorry about it. That's all there is to say. It'll probably come with your birthday card at this point.
In March.
Shut up. No, I'm getting you to be on time or early for yours because I'm going to get better at this. Anywho, that is where I'm at with my life right now. Google Calendars and London. So, and mailing shit that doesn't require me to leave my house. Don't ever think I'll actually mail something, but I will send a card in the mail because I will walk to my mailbox right there. Going to the post office. I have Kylie's cup. Kylie, are you listening to this right now? She's like this. I have Kylie's freaking cup from CrimeCon that she made me go back up to her room and get because it's like the cup she needed in life. And it's sitting in my friggin' kitchen right now. And she knows it. Every once in a while I'll be like, look, I got your cup, bro. I'm just gonna bring it. Click. Here's your cup. I'm just gonna bring it with me to the next one at this point. I'm just not. I don't know.
What you should do is the first time you see her, like when Kylie's like, hey, let's all meet up, walk up with the cup, like filled with your drink and take a sip and just be like, hey, Kylie, good to see you.
Yeah. She's gonna know what's up. That's for sure. I'm surprised that Kenzie hasn't taken the cup and made it her own yet because she's tried and I've had to make it very clear. This is a decoration piece. You may not even touch it. This is not yours.
It's like the towels and the nice towels in the bathroom. You cannot use these.
Yeah, it's the trinkets on your shelf that you have to dust every week. That's one of the items that is with everything else I own.
Literally purged when we moved into this house. And thanks to my mother, I have so many. And my children now have so many. And I'm like, I just want to throw them all.
Yeah. I actually threw quite a bit of things away the other day.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm proud of my
2026.
Yeah, taking out the trash. The trash. All right, that is it, you guys. We will talk to you. We can happily say we'll talk to you next week because that's where we are at with our lives. We are back, and that makes me very, 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 very happy. I love it so much. All right, we will talk to you next week. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.